Hey everyone, it's developer Dylan, and I had this idea to do a visual health system for the game because I don't really like health bars and all of these kind of UI elements. And I had previously, actually, I used to have those things, and I previously removed them. So I replaced it with an audio health system where they make kind of a layered noise and different noises as their health progresses. And with time, the hope is that you can kind of figure out, oh, I recognize that sound. He's almost dead now. But there's a visual aspect that's missing, and when I develop things, I always like to develop with audio and visual hand in hand. So what I wanted to do here was show a little bit of that process of how I can achieve that. Now, I wanted, I was thinking about an animation that I had done previously with these enemies. That was this very like shaky one. Let me see if I can find it. Not that one, but that's close. This looks about right. So you get this kind of like shaky animation, and I thought, well, what if I just apply that to the enemy when they kind of get lower health, and it gets stronger as they get lower health. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here today. So I have this enemy here, and what I want to do is to make an additive animation. So it says no additive, and that's the problem. So I just want to select local space scaled, and then it's just going to use the idle animation for kind of like that preview base pose. So nothing's going to change as far as this animation is concerned, and I can save that and go into the we have a no damage here, so this is it's just gonna be doing its normal stuff when you're not damaged. And then I have this visual health one, which is it's gonna use just this A pose for it, but as you can see, it does this very buggy shake sort of animation, and that's all great. So what I need to do is just create a blend space for these. So I'm going to right click if I can. There we go. And I want to go to animation, blend space 1D, which we just have like kind of one dimension that we're worrying about here. And then we'll do it for the skeleton. And I'll just call this visual health 1D. Perfect. So in here, the value goes 100 to 0, and that's exactly what I want. And I can drag in, I guess I have two A poses, but I can drag in the one A pose at 100, and that 100 represents the enemy health. So at full health, he's going to be basically just, well, sorry, not A pose. I'm getting confused here. I want it to be the no damage. So at 100 health, he is not glitching around. And then I have the visual health one, and I want that all the way down at 0. And the blend space, you can preview it, so you can see this is what he would roughly look like if he had full health. And as we get him down to about 50%, he starts to get a little unstable. And then, we get him down to that last quarter, he gets even more. And right before he dies, he's going to be really bugging out there. So that's a pretty obvious to the player, I believe, that as you're hitting them, they're getting more. They're progressively getting worse and more kind of unstable. So I have these two animations imported, and that's all that I need to kind of do this. Now I want to add just a little bit of interpolation just to smooth out some of those transitions. And if I crank the interpolation like really high, like 15 seconds, and go back to, when I go to here, you can see it's really taking a long time to kind of ramp up to it. And if I quickly go back, taking a long time to slow down. So, you don't want it really high. Usually like a 0.5, 0.2 sort of value is what you're looking for, because otherwise, yeah, he'll take too long to slow down. So you just get a little bit of a smoother transition, and that's all that I want out of that. So I can save this blend space, and really at this point it's almost done, believe it or not. I just have this preview pose of idle, but you could switch that to other poses and see how it would work, but I'm not really going to worry about that. So I'm just going to go into the blueprint actually, and you can see this is how he's working right now, and we just want to add, we want to add that blend space that we just created, which would be visual health 1D, and then we want to apply additive, not into the base. The base is what the animation already is going to be, and then we just want to add this shakiness to it and plug that result in with alpha 1. And if we click here, we can see he is going nuts on this animation, and that's because the value is set to 0, which is basically representing that he's dead. If we set this to 100 and just refresh this, he's just going to be doing his normal animation. We kind of go to like the 50% mark, and he's starting to get even more unstable, and then yeah, back down to 0 of full craziness. So the only last step here is to just add a health variable. So we can just create a health. Now this is only for the enemy already has a health variable. This is just for the animation to have a health variable. Now the health in the enemy goes from 0 to 1 basically. So we just need to do a simple multiplication here to multiply it by 100, so it's properly using, it uses the correct scale here and doesn't just do tiny changes, but it's actually appropriately matching this system that we've built. So now we have health scaling, but there's a problem. Is this health has just been created, it's set to 0, and it's never actually set anywhere else. So this is where the event graph comes in, and we already have some stuff here, but we want to just get the enemy character from, so basically we're just going to get this animation's owner, try to cast that to the enemy character, because at this point it's just a pawn object reference and it doesn't relate to anything. So we want to make sure it relates to this this enemy character that we've created, and through that enemy character we can just see if we can get the gameplay modifier or gameplay stats, which is where the health is stored. So we're just going to find health, and there it is. And inside this script here is like all where this sort of stuff is being set as far as health and all that's concerned. This is being updated every kind of frame, so it will always be updated instantly. Once this health changes, it's going to set this health. So this health will always stay 100% accurate to what's going on in the play or in the enemy. We just need to make sure that this is just checking that it's actually found this thing before we start trying to set it. And if we did find it, then set it. And it's just going to keep running this again and again and again, basically, while you play. So you want to be careful that you don't load this up too much, because once you start having, 5 enemies that are running this again and again and again and doing a bunch of stuff, it can really slow down your game. So you got to be careful, but there are efficient ways that you could check this, as far like you could just add an update sort of function, and when the enemy's health gets subtracted, you just call the update function. So it's not saying updating the health a bunch when nothing's changed. And that's something that I can do later when I'm kind of optimizing it. But for now, just to get it done quick, I can just do it quickly and sacrifice a little bit of performance for convenience, really. So this health is going to be set and then updated here. Now he's going really glitchy because the enemy health starts out as 0, but when we play the game, we should be able to see the enemy change over time. So let's see here. So he's just no glitchiness, although his normal animation does kind of look like it. And as we hit him, you can see his hand getting progressively worse, and the more that we hit him, the more that he's starting to shake around, and we'll just keep doing that. And you can see he starts to get worse as we go along. The more I'm hitting him, the more shaky he becomes. And his head starts to, this animation is really tricky to tell, but as it's getting, you can see his axe is really starting to bug around now. He's really starting to look kind of glitchy here, and which is good, because you don't want this effect. You can see it's really affecting his shoulders now. So as this, he's got to be almost dead. Like I'm pretty sure one more hit, like this effect is pretty strong at this point. He's looking very hurt, so just give him probably one more hit here, maybe two. There it is. So I mean, at that point I can tell that he's almost dead. I have it applied on these enemies, so I'm just gonna try to get one of them through. So he doesn't have any effect going on. The more I hit him, okay, well, there we go. It's just, the more I hit him, the more he's starting to shake around, and this guy doesn't have this sort of shaky pose normally, so you can see it's just getting more and more affected, and that's sort of the system, and until he dies there, for the visual health system. So that, rather than deal with a bunch of kind of meters and all of this screen information, all of the information that you need is right within the gameplay itself and right within the world. And that's one thing that I've really tried to do in building this is how can I get rid of UI to make it as immersive as possible. And doing something like a visual health system is a great solution to this. So I hope you learned something and realize that some things in game programming are actually quite straightforward once you have just the little bit of assets that you need of, an idle sort of animation and a glitchy one, which this took a while to make, actually. I had to hand animate all of this, and then just applying it as an additive using a blend space that's tied with their health. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day. Bye.